So let me ask you, Danny. So you grew up in Brooklyn, correct?
Yes.
So how does a guy, because you're a little older than me, but we grew up in the same place in Bensonhurst and Dyke, Bay Ridge, all that area. I grew up right there with you. I was a little behind you. Uh, how does a guy go from Brooklyn to becoming an actor? Because that not that many people have done that there. So tell
Well,
me how.
it's a strange story. I, uh, as was said, I have a PhD, and when I thought I was going to be a corporate vice president, corporate president in the computer world, and I went to work for Bell Labs. Which was one of the top companies in the country, and as a member of technical staff. And the first day on the job, I hated it. I just hated. I think I hated 9 to 5 more than anything else because I was an academician, and I was used to having time off. And I also hated making your own work. I didn't understand make your own work. Give me work, let me go home. And one day I woke up and I said I could be an actor. Steve, Mike, I have no idea where that came from. I was in plays in grammar school. I played Ferdinand. I played the Bee in Ferdinand the Bull. I played Clement Clark Moore, all plays in grammar school, but never touched it again.
How old were you when this revelation came to you?
23.
23.
23.
But you had graduated college. You were married.
Finished graduate school, started work,
Wow.
and was now on a road to disappointment and bitterness. So I kept complaining, and my wife at the time said, why don't you go study with Lee Strasberg? And I said, who's Lee Strasberg? I didn't know who he was. She was much more cultured than I was. And I said, after the holidays. Being Italian, we didn't do anything until the holidays were over. So when the holidays came and went, I started complaining again. But then I went in for an interview at the Lee Strasberg Theater Institute. And there was a secretary there, I don't remember her name, but she tried to convince me to come and start that day. And being an academician, I in my head, well, I start on Monday, chapter 1 acting, chapter 2. When the 12 weeks are over, I'm an actor. I mean, that's what I thought.
That's what I thought.
Never knowing about ongoing learning, about trying to get a job, any of that. But the funny thing was, Lee used to give lectures at Carnegie Hall. And so I'm living in Brooklyn, working in Jersey. I was always going in the wrong direction, working in Jersey. So I drive into Manhattan. It was at Carnegie Hall. I think I'm going to get a parking space. I drive in at, it's 6 o'clock. I finally get a space about 6:15. I walk right down the corner on 57th and 6th. I walk up the block. I get to Carnegie Hall. I get to the door and I stand there and I say, what are you doing? This is ridiculous. You're just afraid of failure. You're afraid that you're not going to succeed in what you've chosen as life's work. And I said, yeah. And I turned around and I started walking down the block. I got to the little Carnegie Theater, which is not there anymore. And I stopped. I said, this could be your destiny. You could be throwing your destiny right out the window. You've never made a decision, because when you were good in math in those days, you got scholarships, fellowships. I got money to go to school. And I said that you've never made a decision. You've always gone along with the path that was laid out for you. And this might be your destiny. And I said, you're right. I turned around. I walked in. I listened to Strasberg. Next day, I went to my first acting class with Ed Covens. And I sat down and I saw 6 people on the stage. They were doing method exercises. And they didn't seem aware of each other, and that's insanity. And I leaned back, and this is the truth. I leaned back and I said, I'm home. This is where I belong. And that's the story.
Wow.
Sorry to go on so long, but that's
Wow. Everybody has a different path there. And it just had an epiphany, huh?
Yep.
And did you move to LA at one point?
I never lived there. I went to LA after Don't Go in the House in 1980. And I had 2 kids at the time. So I would stay out there for 6 weeks and then fly back for 6 weeks. I did that for a year. And then I decided that I would stay in New York and raise my kids. And that was a life choice, which I made.
When I was a kid, so when I was like in my early teens, we used to watch horror movies every week, me and my friends. And one week it was don't go in the house. And you're the star of the movie. So the opening credits is Dan Grimaldi, don't go in the house. So when I got my first play, my first professional job was Half Deserted Streets.
Right.
And it was Dan Grimaldi's playing my father. And I was like, this is full circle. You know what I mean? I was a fan before I knew you. And that was with you. And
he was in the casting session because your creativity, your talent, your ability just shone. And even at 21, we knew you were going to, I knew you were going to be a big success in this business.
And that was Bobby Moresco, who went on to win the Oscar, right? Did he win it for Crash, right?
Crash, yes. Crash, yeah.
He co-wrote Crash with Paul Haggis. And Victor Colicchio was in Half Deserted Streets, who went on to write Spike Lee's Summer of Sam. So it was that was an interesting experience. That was my first play. But did you do? When did you start doing theater? Like when did you start getting?
1972. Strasberg used to tell us, study for 2 years, and then go out and work. And I asked him, how do you get a job? Nobody could ever tell you how to get a job. Well, you guys know that. Nobody can tell you how to get a job. So I started in 72. I started doing off Broadway. I did Joe Papp, and I worked in every bar, every basement, every off Broadway house. And then in 78, I got my first off Broadway role in Mama's Little Angels, Louis LaRusso. So, I mostly did theater, and now I've gone back to mostly doing theater.
When you were coming up, who were some of the other actors that we would know that you worked with, or you were around, or you were, part of? Like what scene you were part of? Okay,
well, a lot of the plays that I did, many of the people never went past that level. So, I think I'm one of the few that ever went past that level. But as you said, I worked with you. I worked with Victor. I worked with Drea. I worked with Aida, with Sharon.
Drea, what did you do with Drea?
I did her first play, which her mother wrote. I played her uncle in her first play. I don't remember the name of it, unfortunately, but her mother wrote it, and I did her first play. That was her first play. I did Kathy Narducci's first play too. Mama's Six Goombas and a Wannabe. So, and your first play, and I worked at the wedding for quite a while together.
Danny, what was Lee Strasberg like? Were you friendly with him?
Intimidating. I would go study with him, and then I would go downtown, go uptown and go to the studio, and I was so hungry to learn. I followed him around, but I remember, this is a funny. I remember being in a bathroom, standing next to him in a urinal, and he was about 5 foot even, and I just said to myself, "This little son of a bitch intimidates the shit out of me." Jesus Christ. He was intimidating, but you wanted his praise.
Did he have a big cock, Danny?
I didn't look that closely. You have to ask
a
his
little
wife.
guy might have had a big cock. I don't know.
He might have.
He banged Marilyn Monroe, didn't he?
Yeah. Well, no. His son did.
Oh, okay. So tell me about The Sopranos.
Hold on a second. Hold on. Did you actually just ask him if Lee Strasberg had a big cock? Is that where we've gone with this now?
We have a podcast. I'm curious.
You were very curious.
I'm curious.
Maybe we should do a special segment.
Hyman Roth. He's
right.
Very curious. He's a legendary guy in the business.
Job. But I wanted to finish that with we all wanted to be praised by him, and you wanted his praise. So you were constantly working towards. He was kind of a father figure in acting, and I got a lot of praise from him, a lot of praise. So that was something that kept me going. Kept me going forward as an actor.
Now, being a member of the Actor Studio, lifetime member, is a big deal. I don't know if everyone knows out there. Do you think that's helped you in your career, Danny? It's opened doors?
No, career-wise, no. Craft wise, yes.
Craft wise, but not
Craft
career wise.
It's the toughest stage in the world. You're really you're criticized by your peers, but you always learn something. And the thing of it is, you can always go back. I tended to go for like 5 years straight, very heavily, and then go away, work, and do other things, and then go back. But I felt that every time I got on that stage or watched good people, which most people at the acting studio are, I learned something, and I my craft was made better by anything I did at the acting studio, and which is what it's all about. I mean, its purpose is for us to grow in our sense of truth and creating truth, and that was what has continually happened. Still,
and you've also taught, right? Don't you teach acting?
I taught at Lee Strasberg. I taught privately, and I had some really good students, and unfortunately, none of them went on to any kind of fame, but a lot of them are still working and working here and there.